A woman who's down on her luck in Milwaukee, Wisconsin is murdered. And then police find out she has her own little mystery. Hello, true crimerers. This is another true crime in a short amount of time, and it is the case of Ida Lowry. Viewer discretion is advised. By 1960, Ida Lowry is a 76-year-old woman living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Roughly 10 years or so before this story takes place, she lost her husband. He passed away. And he was, the breadwinner of the family. And when he did pass, it meant that she didn't really have much money. When her husband passed, it seemed to absolutely kind of kill her a little bit as well. She became kind of a recluse. She struggled to find employment. She struggled to keep friends. And her family kind of just sort of begun to fall out of her life. She did have a couple of sisters, but in that little 10-year window of time, they lost touch. Ida became what they described as a loner. She moved into a hotel called the Hotel Royal, and she was struggling to find any kind of money. She was barely able to pay for the hotel room. I mean, she was on the cusp of essentially becoming homeless. Ida would be seen around the Milwaukee area just, over the years, rummaging through dumpsters, trash cans, and this was primarily so that she could find clothing because she couldn't afford any clothes. But people in that area, in the community, they kind of sort of knew Ida just sort of by this reputation. No one ever thought she meant any harm. They all just kind of thought she was just this sort of sweet, kind of quiet old lady who wasn't hurting anyone, and maybe she was a little eccentric. Maybe a little kooky, but she was okay. It was the night of August 23rd, 1960, and a little after midnight. A man was just on his way home from work. He was driving down Plankinton Avenue when he saw what looked like a woman lying on the ground and screaming for help. When he approached this woman, she was lying in a pool of blood. She was crying, so she was still alert, and he immediately called police. Police arrive. The woman is able to identify herself as Ida Lowry. She's able to also describe, to a degree, what happened. She told them she was just walking down the road when suddenly from behind, a man grabs her and pulls her, towards an alley. He then sexually assaulted her, and then he beat her. She described the attacker as a man who worked on the bridge, nearby, and that he was a very large white man. But that was all she really said. She was rushed to the nearby county hospital, where unfortunately she would be pronounced dead just a short time later and died from her injuries. Police go back to the scene of the crime. They search the alleyway. They search the roads nearby. They also search the waterways that was right next to where she was found. They're looking for anything because she thinks she may have been beaten with some sort of weapon. But that weapon was never found. They never recovered anything. All the coroner can say was that she was likely beat with some kind of large, heavy stick type thing. Police did find one suspect, a man who vaguely fit the description of what Ida described, and he was someone who, did work on a nearby bridge. When they searched his home, they found clothing with blood all over it. Unfortunately, this is 1960, and they don't really have the technology to see if that's Ida's blood or anything like that. They just have clothing with blood on it. He said he cut his hand pretty badly at work, and he bled all over his clothes, which he did in fact have a cut on his hands. So that could mean that he got the cut from work or he got the cut from attacking Ida, but they didn't have any actual evidence to show that that was her blood or to show that he did it. But I believe ultimately they were able to find out where this man was during the time the attack would have happened, and they were able to eventually completely rule him out. Then they found another potential suspect, a man who was kind of a larger white male. He did not work on the bridge, but When they found the suspect, he was already in lockup for literally committing another sexual assault and attack on another woman. He, at the time of that attack and when he was arrested shortly after that attack, he was completely shit-faced drunk. He had, I guess, previously had run-ins with the law and with sexually assaulting another woman where he was drunk when he did that. He even admits that he can't say whether or not he did or didn't assault Ida Lowry. He does admit he was kind of in that area when she was attacked. But there was no evidence to link him to the attack either. They had nothing. There were no witnesses to this attack. There was no substantial physical evidence left behind. The murder weapon is gone. All they had was Ida. And, again, I don't know if they found bodily fluid on her, but I also don't know if they would have collected that back in 1960. As far as I know, though, they've never had anything to test, even way down the road. Then things get even stranger. Police, just doing their due diligence, they go to the hotel room where Ida has been living for the past several years. They don't find anything really out of the ordinary, right? Except for two keys. Two separate keys to two separate safety deposit boxes at different banks. They go to the first bank. They open up the box. Nothing is inside of it. They then go to the second bank where they're like, okay, there's probably going to be nothing in this one as well. Except they were in for a surprise. Ida, again, was described as basically almost like a vagrant, kind of close to homelessness. She was rummaging for clothing and food. She barely could ever pay her rent. She was on the verge of being kicked out of her hotel. She came off as a very poor person, but what they found in that safety deposit box would say otherwise. They found over $17,000 in cash in this safety deposit box, which in today's money would equate to somewheres around, if not a little bit over, $150,000. Ida Lowry was actually technically one of the wealthier people in that area, but they questioned her family, her sisters. They questioned the people in her life. No one knew she had this money. No one knew how she had this money. No one could explain any of it. It just added a very bizarre last-minute mystery to the life of Ida Lowry. Could the money have anything to do with her attack? Maybe. Maybe they thought she had this key on her. Who knows? It could be a motive, right? It could be a reasonable motive. Or was the attack just completely unrelated to this mountain of cash that she had stored? What was she planning to do with this cash? Why did she have it if she wasn't going to use it? It's very strange. Now it's 2023. It's, 60 some odd years later. This case has gone unsolved the entire time. And let's be real, let's say her attacker was even a teenager. He would be in his probably late 70s, close to his 80s. If this was an adult, we're talking late 80s to 90s. Her killer is probably, no longer alive. He still could be, don't get me wrong, he still could be. But the fact that they have no physical evidence to even connect to anyone, unfortunately, unless they find some kind of confession from this person, deathbed confession maybe he told someone who will finally tell police. Unfortunately, this is just one of those cases that I just don't think will ever actually be solved. They don't even have DNA to do the genealogical testing thing that they've been doing so much lately. They have nothing. So Ida Lowry was murdered by someone who basically got away with it. I can only hope that this man, whoever did this, got caught for something else and spent the rest of his life in jail. But I also hope he didn't hurt anyone else either. So this is one of those lose-lose type cases, unfortunately. But maybe someone out there watching this video, maybe the killer spoke to someone who then that person spoke to someone else. You never know, right? Could be a possibility. So if you do know anything about the murder of Ida Lowry, you can contact the police in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and maybe just in some way, shape, or form, at least give closure to the story itself, even if there's no one around anymore to experience the closure. But that is it for this case, True Crime Maroonies. I hope you found it interesting. As usual, if you have just tripped, fallen, and stumbled your way into this video, hello, I'm Mike. I tell true crime stories, obviously, here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Please subscribe to me here, give this video a like, and then follow me on my other socials. The link is in my link tree in the bio or the description below. If you want to support me in any way, we do sell merch, also in the link tree below. We ship internationally. We sell like t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. If you have a case you would like to see me cover, you can always email me at makingatruecrimerer.com. That info is below. Just send me the name, where it happened, and when it happened, and then I can add it to my list eventually. I do pick my cases at random. I will cover these cases eventually. I just can't tell you when. Last, if you have a Discord account and you want to join my Discord server, please by all means do so. It's in the link tree below. Be over the age of 18 or else you will be kicked out of there though. So please respect that. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to finish this video with a game that you have to guess the answer in the comments below. The game is called Get the Picture, right? This bad boy. So you have to guess what this picture, hopefully you can see it, what this picture is. You've got the top box that looks like cash, the middle box is hay, and then the bottom box looks like someone holding dirt. I'll tell you this is a person's name. This is an actor's name. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's better. So yeah, try to guess whose name these pictures are trying to tell you. It is an actor's name. So go ahead and guess. Put your guess in the comments below. Okay, but until the next video, True Crime Rooney Dooney Ding Dongs, I'll she's ya later. Alligators, whatever. Bye!